But let's move on now to the situation in the Red Sea where tensions are escalating. Iran has reportedly now sent a warship into the Red Sea after the US Navy destroyed 3 Houthi boats. Kosha, do you think that this crisis could be leading to a wider Middle East conflict involving the US?
It appears that certainly not an unlikely scenario. And, as we just discussed, the tentacles of war are unpredictable and you just never know how they're going to twist and turn. The situation this highlights is there's obviously a military issue and a security issue, but then there's also an economic issue because of the importance of that lane of traffic in the shipping industry. The Red Sea is very, very critical. It's a large percentage of European shipments, but also globally. And so you're already seeing prices increase because of this. You're going to see supply chains reshift. And so I think more of a defensive tack, similar to what the US just did, you might see that sort of amping up the ability for applying defensive force to that part of the world, at least as it relates to shipping. But again, the minute these escalations continue, we just have to be prepared for even things we can't imagine right now.
And Michael, Kosha just mentioned the rising prices, the costs of fuel and so on. It's not just our sovereignty being impacted here, and we are being told that other costs are going to go up, like those petrol prices. Do you think Australia needs to get more involved in this effort in the Red Sea?
You bet you I do. I think Greg Sheridan, the foreign editor, is right when he accuses this current government of choosing the bludgers option. How can we ask the Americans to shave off 3 of their Virginia-class nuclear submarines from a program that they don't have enough of their own, and at the same time not send them one rotten ship to sort of sit on the flank of some operation to keep peace for 15% of international trade? I mean, all of the major German and Dutch shipping companies have now cancelled trade through the Red Sea. That affects Australia. Petrol prices. I mean, it's very nice to say we have a South Pacific concentration, but doesn't the economy count? It's terrible that Australia hasn't stepped up and stood by the yanks. I do agree with General Jack Keane, the Fox strategist, though, that American concentration on just defensive measures is empowering the Iranians, and it may come a time to hit the Houthi bases or to sink that ship in the Iranian ship in the Red Sea, because you've got to hit the head of the monster. You've got to escalate to stop it. Not to start a war, but to give the Iranians a signal so far and no further. They are going to keep pushing, and the next thing they might do is test a nuclear weapon.
Oh, God forbid. But let's move on to another war now, a much older one. Anthony Albanese has demanded the release of the missing documents containing details of the Iraq War. The documents were made public from the National Archive on January 1 after the 20-year secrecy period expired, but they went missing before they could be released to the public. The Prime Minister has now launched an independent review to find the documents.
Australians have a right to know the basis upon which Australia went to war in Iraq. My government believes that this mistake must be corrected, that the National Archives of Australia should release all the documentation.
Are you concerned that there's been a cover-up here?
Well, that's why we have asked Dennis Richardson to do the review.
Kosha, your thoughts on this?
I think as a broader point, sunlight is the best disinfectant. And I do think more of these things should be in the public domain, not less. Having said that, I think the current administration, where a cynical observer might say they're not exactly paragons, probably, of releasing things into the public domain. I know they've dodged and fought other Freedom of Information Act requests and so on. So I'm sure there's a political side to this as well. There's no question about that. Spoiler alert, I would say that, even when these documents are recovered and released, one of the largest driving factors for Australia's involvement was that it is within the sphere of influence of the US. The US wanted to go in, and that was probably, that's going to be in the answer, but maybe there's other details that he wants out there.
I dare say you could be on the money with that spoiler alert.